Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing amazing. So as you can see in today's video, we're going to learn about the present simple tense. Don't freak out because this is one of the easiest tenses. All you have to do is pay attention and listen carefully. So the first thing that we're going to start with is the uses. When do we use the present simple? First thing first, we use it with habits. What is habits? Habits is something that you're used to do every single day and you don't change it. Something that you're used to it. Let me give you an example. I always drink coffee at work. It means that you are used to drink coffee at work. So this is a habit that you can't change it. This is an addiction actually, because you're used to drink coffee at work. Okay? Let's move on to the second one. She gets up at 7 a.m. every day. So this is a habit for her. She's used to wake up or to get up at 7 a.m. every single day. This is a habit for her. Now let's move on to the last one. They usually eat dinner at home. Okay, usually it's like most of the time. So this is a habit for them. They eat dinner at home. Okay, it's a habit for them. Now let's move on to the second use. So we talked about habits. Now we're talking about the general facts or truths. It means that we're talking about something that has to do with maybe science or nature, something that is obvious, you can't change, okay? The earth is not flat. The sun rises in the east. Of course, it doesn't rise in the west or north or south. It rises, of course, in the east. This is a fact that you can't change. And the last one, water boils at 100 degrees. Of course, again, it doesn't freeze. It boils at 100 degrees. Everything is clear now? Okay. Let's move on to the last use. Future plans, or when we're talking about schedules. Okay, here it is confusing for you because we're talking about the present simple and at the same time we are mentioning the future plans. But it actually makes sense because here, let me read the example for you. My train arrives tomorrow. Yes, you can say my train will arrive tomorrow because we're talking about the future, but the correct one is my train arrives tomorrow. Also, we have another one. We fly to Paris on Monday. Yes, you can say we will fly to Paris on Monday, but grammatically, it is correct when you say, we fly to Paris on Monday. So feel free to use the future plans in the present simple tense and don't be confused. Now let's move on to the forms of the present simple. So here we're talking about the forms. What are the three forms of the present simple? So there is affirmative, negative, and interrogative. Let's repeat one more time. Affirmative, negative, and interrogative when you ask a question. So here we have the affirmative form. So we start with the subject, or you can say subject pronouns. What is a subject? We have I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. We use he for male, she for a female, and it, we use it for objects and animals. And here we have you and you. This is for singular and this is for plural. Plus verb infinitive, or you can add an S at the end of the verb when we have he, she, it. I'll give you an examples, but after we finish the forms. Let's repeat. So this is the affirmative form. We start with a subject, which is I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. We call these subject pronouns or subjects, okay? Then a verb infinitive, or you can say the base form, or you can add S at the end of the verb when we have he, she, it. Okay, now let's move on to the negative form. We use a subject. We always start the sentence with a subject. I didn't write them because we already have them here. Plus don't or doesn't. Okay, so what is the difference, or when do we use don't? And when do we use doesn't? We use don't when we have I, we, you, they. And we use doesn't when we have he, she, it. Plus verb infinitive, you don't change it, you leave it as it is. And you don't add S at the end of the verb. You only add S in the affirmative form. Okay? Now let's move on to the last form, which is the interrogative. So if we want to ask a question, we don't start with subjects. It means that we start with do or does. Okay? Do or does. These are auxiliary verbs. Okay? Auxiliary verbs. We start with do or does. We also use do when we have I, we, you, they. And we use does when we have he, she, it. Plus subject, so we put the subject in the middle. So in the interrogative form, we start with do or does. These are auxiliary verbs. Okay? We don't start with a subject. We put it in the middle of the question. So we start with do or does. And as I said before here, that we use don't with I, we, you, they. And the same for doesn't. We use it for he, she, it. So as I said that we use do with I, we, you, they. And does with he, she, it. We put the subject in the middle of the question. It depends on in the middle of the question and the verb infinitive or the base form. Here I wrote some examples for you so that you can understand more. Okay, so let's start with the first form, which is the affirmative. I always read books. This is the subject, and this is the infinitive verb or the base form. She talks very fast. She talks very fast. Here I pronounced it as talk, talk, not talk. The L is silent here. She, this is the subject, the third person singular. She is a subject, talks. Why did we put or why did we add S at the end of the verb? Because we have she. So when we have he, she, it, we add s at the end of the verb. She talks very fast. And the last one, we often play basketball. There is no add in here. You can't add s here or here. This is a base form. You only add s when we have she. Now let's move on to the next one, which is the negative form. I don't read books. I don't read books. So we use don't when we have I, we, you, they. Okay, let me remind you one more time. We use don't when we have I, we, you, they. He doesn't like bananas. You can't say he don't, he doesn't, because we have he. Also, when we have he, she, it, we use doesn't. And the last one, you don't listen to the teacher. You don't listen to the teacher. And the last one, which is the interrogative form, do I feel hungry? Do I feel hungry? So we use the auxiliary verb, which is do, then the subject and the verb. Do I feel hungry? So here we have do and here we have does. Okay, let's move on to the next example. So here, we don't add s. I already told you that we add s at the end of the verb when we have he, she, it in the affirmative form. You can't use it in the negative form and you can't use it in the interrogative form. Okay, and the last one, which is, do they watch TV? Do they watch TV? Okay, I think everything is clear now. Let's move on to the next part. Now let's talk about verb to be. Have you ever heard of this verb, which is to be? Okay, let's talk about it now. Well, basically, this verb is used in the present simple to talk about names, ages, feelings, nationalities, and professions. Don't worry, because here I have a lot of examples for you so that you can know when to use verb to be. Before we move on to the next part, let's just repeat one more time. Okay, let me ask you a question. When do we use verb to be? Yes, for names. For ages. Yes, for feelings. Nationalities, very good. And professions. Good job. So we talked about names. How can we use verb to be in names? I'm Sarah. I'm Sarah. Or I'm Laura. So you're telling your name by using verb to be, Also, when we talk about ages, how old are you? You don't say I have. This is wrong, okay? You answer by saying I'm 27 years old or I'm 19 years old, because a lot of people answer by I have. How old are you? And you answer by I have, which is wrong. You say I'm 27 years old or I'm 18 years old, 17, etc. I'm 27 years old, I'm 18, 20, 13, okay? Also, we use it for feelings. How do you feel? Okay, how do you feel? Well, I'm tired. Okay, I'm tired, talking about your feelings, your emotions. How do you feel? Are you hungry? Are you sleepy? Are you tired? Are you mad? Okay, so you're expressing your feelings and you use verb to be. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm mad. I'm angry. Okay, also use it for nationalities. Where are you from? Where are you from? I'm from Japan. Where are you from? I'm from Morocco. Where are you from? I'm from maybe Lebanon. Okay, so you're talking about nationalities and you use verb to be. And the last one, professions. It means your job. What do you work? What is your job? Okay, so what is your job or what do you work? I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher. Or I'm a police officer. I'm a doctor. I'm a nurse. See, here you're using verb to be. Clear? Now let's move on to the last part, which is the forms of verb to be. And this is the last part where we'll be practicing the forms of verb to be. So as I told you, the forms of any tense has the affirmative, negative, and interrogative form. So as I told you, in each tense, whether it's the present simple or future or the present perfect, there is affirmative, negative, and interrogative. So let's start with the first one, which is the affirmative form. I am, you are, he, she, it is, we are, you are, they are. So what do we call these? Do you remember? So these are the subject pronouns. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. Okay? Let's move on to the second one, the negative form. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not a teacher, for example. I'm not a student. I'm not an engineer. So you're denying. I'm not an engineer. So you're denying. He, she, it isn't. We aren't. You aren't. They aren't. They aren't. This is the negative form. And the last one, which is the interrogative form. So here, if you notice something, that we didn't start with the subject. We started with verb to be, then the subject. Because in the interrogative form, we always switch. Okay? Am I? Are you? Is he? Is she? Is it? Are we? Are you? Are they? Are you a doctor? Are you a doctor? Am I hungry? Am I hungry? Are you mad? Are you mad? Don't hesitate to ask me in the comments below. I'll be answering all of your questions. See you in the next time in a new video.